Greetings and salutations, everyone. This is Swedish Jeff, and it's been a minute since my last video, and I do apologize for the delay. I definitely want to get back into the routine of making some videos, getting some stuff up here, and talking about the replays that I've been looking at. But I wanted to come on tonight to talk about something that came up on the Digital to Dice podcast, which actually is something that came up on the Digital to Dice Facebook group. And I'm not going to call anybody out here. I'm not going to name anybody. And I just want to talk about the subject here because I already commented on the Facebook group and let my opinion known. And, you know, one of the things that I really love, many things I love about the group, Creedence Clearwater Revival, is they would make a statement and then they would move on. You know, make a statement, they write a song and they put it out there and then they move on. And I know a lot of other artists do that, but it was something that CCR did very well. So that's kind of like how I am, as I like to make my statement and move on and let the chips fall as they may, as the cliche goes. And if people want to comment, and so far the response has been overwhelmingly positive. You know, maybe a couple people that didn't agree and maybe one or two snarky comments, but overall it's been pretty good. And, you know, my armor is pretty thick, so I'm not thin-skinned. And it's just like, I look at it like, you know what? People can think whatever they want to think and they can believe what they want to believe and they're entitled to have their opinions. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get to what I'm talking about here. So it's been about maybe almost a couple of years since I got back into cards and dice. And I am the new kid on the block. I don't know if that makes me Joey McIntyre or Jordan Knight or maybe Donnie Wahlberg. I don't know. I'm not the bad boy, so I probably wouldn't be Donnie. But I'm like the new kid, the new guy, compared to most of the people that are doing this on YouTube and the Delphi forums and Facebook that are veterans that have been doing this stuff for a long time. And I'm still figuring it out, and I'm still playing these games and learning about the games. And we're talking about like the classics, the APBAs, the Stratomatics, and I would even put replay games in that category. The Dynasty League, Pursue the Pennant. Then you have your more modern games, the ones that are the popular ones now that are successful, and then the up and comers. And I really would love to play as many games as I can, you know, but a lot of it has to do with schedule, you know, my work schedule, my life schedule, and economics. I would love to be able to, you know, get more seasons if I could, but I'm on a budget, and like many people, you just got to watch what you're spending. And when I can, I definitely want to get more seasons and more games and try them out. And there have been a couple games over the years, not cards and dice necessarily, but computer games that I used to enjoy that don't really enjoy as much now. And I'll just tell you that it's nothing personal. And I've said that I am critical of certain aspects of the games. And I'm not going to mention them here in this video, but, you know, and it doesn't really matter. But there are certain aspects that I don't really like or that I think could be better. But then there are other things that I think that they do really well. But, you know, it's important to be honest and to tell people what they need to hear, because that's what a true friend does. is they tell people what they need to hear and not what they want to hear. If you want somebody to tell you what you want to hear, then you'll go listen to a politician talk of either party, of any party. But if you want somebody to tell you what you need to hear, then, you know, that's what a friend does is, you know, if you're somebody that's smoking and you smoke a lot of cigarettes or you're drinking to excess, they're going to say, hey, you know, you need to cut down, or you need to eliminate that behavior, and you're really putting yourself at risk. Somebody who doesn't care is just going to say, oh, well, I don't get involved with that. You know, I'm not going to, they don't care. If somebody doesn't care, it's like my grandfather told my mom many years ago, is worry about me when I don't care anymore. You know, if I'm on you, if I'm, you know, if I care, then I love you. And that's what friends do, is it's out of love and respect. But at the same time, you know, you don't want to overstep your boundaries, and you don't want to come across as too harsh, which is something that I have done in the past, you know. And I'll give you an example here. It's kind of a funny example. Many years ago, as many of you know, I worked in the video store industry. And there was a movie that is not a bad film, but I used to work with someone who would play this film literally every single day that she was there. And her and I did not get along and it's a long story, but she didn't get along with most people. But she would play Steel Magnolias every single day that I worked with her. The movie Steel Magnolias. Now, I know that this is a film that most guys, you know, are like, oh man, I can't stand that movie. You know, they either A, they don't like it, or B, they don't want to admit that they like it. In all honesty, it's not a terrible film. I'm going to go switch my hand here. It's not a terrible film. And it was actually the breakout film for Julia Roberts. But I remember that we had a young couple, married couple, that were in their 20s, and husband and wife came in, and they were looking at the movies for sale at the video store. And the wife said, oh my God, Steel Magnolias. I love that movie. Oh my God, I love this film. And the husband was like, what movie is that? And she's like, Steel Magnolias. You've never seen this? Oh my God. And he's like, that movie sucks. It's just a sappy female bonding movie. And me and my coworker laughed out loud. We thought it was funny. No, it's not. It's not a bad, you know. And we were like, yeah, it is actually, you know. And we were kind of piling on and you know, making fun of the film and all that. And she wasn't like offended. She was just like, oh no, I don't agree with that. I think it's a great film. But my point here is that, you know, if somebody asked me about a film when I worked in the video store and they say, hey, is this a good movie or is this a bad film? I would tell them, I say, listen, I think that Biodome is absolutely horrible, okay? Now, I know that, you know, this movie with Pauly Shore and Stephen Baldwin is not exactly The Age of Innocence, okay? I get that. If you're going into this film expecting it to be an Academy Award-winning movie, then you're going to be major disappointed. I'm tired. I'm sorry. You're going to be very disappointed. But then again, you might like it, you know, and I would tell people, say, listen, you know, but I could be a little bit critical. And I remember a few years ago, one of my friends who has a YouTube channel made a video, and he said, he was asking his followers on there and his supporters, like, is there anyone in music who has a voice that you just can't stand? And I made a comment that I actually felt really bad about afterwards. And I said, yeah, Tom Waits. And he actually posted my comment, and he was reading it, and he said, you know, Swedish Jeff, well, my name wasn't Swedish Jeff back then, but he said, this user wrote in and said, Tom Waits, I can't stand his voice. It sounds like he's taking a dump. And I remember my friend was like, okay. And he goes, well, I would say that his voice is unique. And it hit me like, oh my goodness, that was harsh, Because, when Tom Waits sings, and he does have that uniquely gravelly, when I see you tonight on a downtown train, it's like, it just sounded like, he sounds like he's straining, but it is a unique voice. Like Bob Dylan has a unique voice, like Freddie Mercury had a unique voice, like many of these singers and vocalists have a very unique voice. And he was absolutely right, and I was wrong. And I was very critical about that. So how does this relate to cards and dice and sports games? Is that sometimes we can get frustrated with a company or with a game that we're playing that we're just like, you know what? I don't get it. I tried playing it, and I'm sorry, I just don't get it. And that happens sometimes, you just try to get into a game that other people are just raving about. Oh my God, this game is incredible. Oh my God, this is the best game I've ever played. And then you say it, you just play it and go, sorry, I just don't get it. And going back to the video store again, a few years later, I worked with a guy who loved country music. He really loved all kinds of music, but he would say, he was our assistant manager, and whoever was senior would basically have control of the radio. So any radio station, they would basically be able to, and we would play the radio in the store. And he was like, hey, Jeff, I'm going to make you a country fan, man. You're going to like country music. And he loved country music. And I got to tell you, I really, really tried to get into it, modern country. And I just couldn't do it. I just told him, I said, listen, I appreciate that you are a fan and you love it. It just doesn't do anything for me. It just doesn't. Modern country, as Tom Petty once said, bad rock with a fiddle. That's pretty much what it is to me. It's like, it just doesn't feel authentic to me. Country is like the blues to me. I look at country and the blues like cousins, that it's about, I've been through some stuff and I'm going to tell you my story. That's what the blues is. Da-na-na-na-na. I've been through some stuff. Da-na-na-na-na. My life is real tough. And it's like country is, we grew up in a house that had no water and no power. And it's just, growing up and struggling to survive and trying to make it and getting beaten down and getting back up and pushing forward. And now I'm going to tell you my story. And that's what the blues and country are about. And you look at the guys, especially the men in country music, like Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings and George Jones, who was called the Possum, Willie Nelson. They're not unattractive men, but they are some rough-looking dudes, compared to Keith Urban and Kenny Chesney and Blake Shelton. Those guys, come on. It's like they're pretty boys compared to Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash. These guys, they've been through some stuff. Charlie Pride, and what was his name? Claude King, who did Clyde King. They say don't go on Wolverton Mountain. I mean, that's country to me. And the blues, B.B. King and Muddy Waters and all of these great blues artists, Big Bill Brunzi, that's the blues, and it's authentic. And it just doesn't feel like that in the modern era. Well, I know I've gotten way off topic here. So getting back to cards and dice, is you're going to play some games that just don't resonate with you, and you just try your best, and you either feel it or you don't, and sometimes you might revisit it. And have you ever listened to an album, or you listen to an artist that some of your friends might be raving about, and you say, oh, you got to check out this album, you got to check out this band, and you listen to it and you're just like, I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling it. And that happened with me many years ago with Rush. Is I was friends with this girl, and we had met actually like pre-internet on a bulletin board, and she loved Rush, and I'm a Beatles fan, and we exchanged tapes, mixtapes. And she said, hey, I'm going to send you some Rush stuff, and you send me the Beatles stuff, because I'm not that familiar with their stuff. And she was like, yeah, they're good. Yeah, that's cool. And I listened to Rush, and I liked it, but it was like, I'm sorry, I just, there were maybe a couple songs, but I just was like, I don't get it. I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling it. And I put those tapes away, and I just kind of forgot about them for a while. And then I started thinking about it. I said, maybe I should give them another listen. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's me. And I went back to listen to it, and wouldn't you know what? I loved it. I really, really, and by then her and I had lost touch. Life happens and people move on, they go their separate ways. But I really started to love Rush, and now I'm a huge fan of their music. And my point is that sometimes you think that something, you're just not feeling it. But if you give it another shot, another chance, then you might play a game and say, hey, this is really cool. I never knew this. Or you can find a second opinion and ask somebody, say, what do you think about this? Or you can reach out for help. I mean, there are so many people now online on YouTube, on Facebook, and various forums, Delphi. And you can say, hey, I'm trying to play APA Master Game, and I'm just not getting it. Help me. Please help me. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Where am I going wrong with this? And 99% of the people are going to say, hey, I can send you a tutorial, or send me your number. I can FaceTime with you, and I can walk you through it. And that's one of the many reasons why I love being part of this community. Is it is so welcoming and so open and transparent, unlike a lot of other communities where you can just say, well, I don't agree with that. You suck. Get out of here. And it's just like, okay, calm down there, calm down, Biff, But thankfully, our community, the cards and dice community and sports games, is very open. And, we don't want to have sycophants and fanboys, but we also don't want to have curmudgeons either, Like, what was his name on the Smurfs? Was it Grouchy Smurf? I hate Mondays. Well, I hate Mondays too. I hate birthdays. I hate weddings. Just that Grouchy Smurf, I think was his name. But for me, cards and dice games, these have been like therapy for me. And that is not hyperbole. I went through a really painful breakup a couple years ago, and had to go through a family medical emergency last year. And I have these games. Yes, I have my music, and I have movies and other things to keep myself busy, but this community really has been a lifeline for me, and has really been wonderful. And to be able to play these seasons of the past, whether it's APA or Stratomatic or Diamond Mine, although that's another topic for another day, or baseball mogul, football mogul, whatever it is, insert name of game, pick a game. If it gives you joy, like I said tonight on Dave Gardner's live chat, if you can do something that makes you smile and forget about life for a while, that's a good day. That's a good day. And we also have to put this in perspective here. This is not brain surgery. This is games, okay? It's games. And games are supposed to be fun. And when they're not fun anymore, then maybe it's time to move on and find some other game to play, or something else to do, It's not supposed to be work, I mean, if that's the case, then I'm definitely going to move on, but it's not work for me. And yes, I get it that there are legitimate beefs that people have with certain companies. I will not name the companies here. But some of the ones that, I'm still waiting for my delivery, is the Pony Express delivering it? That kind of thing is like, when am I going to get my game? And some companies don't have a phone number. It would be nice if they had a phone number, even if you had that annoying, your call is very important to us. Please hold on the line as our menu options have recently changed. You ever notice that their menu options have always recently changed? Come on. I mean, can you come up with something new for that? Speaking of beefs, that's something that really frustrates me, is like, can you just come up with something original? But anyway, it would be nice if they had a number where you could call and talk to a live person and they could just answer your question like, hey, I ordered this and I haven't got it. Yes, we understand, Mr. Smith. We apologize. It's going to be sent on such day. Okay, cool. And other games, every game has a flaw. Even the quote unquote best game is not perfect. If there's a perfect game out there, please tell me, leave a comment below and come forward, and I'll definitely check it out. I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect game. But the developers have to understand that too. They try, I think they try to achieve perfection, but knowing that they'll come close to it, but they're not gonna achieve it completely. And because then you're never gonna try to improve. If you're perfect, then, well, I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. No, you always want to get better and improve. Like, well, what can we do better? Where are our strengths? Like, what did we do that was great? What did we do that needs improvement? And some companies, they don't have the seasons. I've been waiting, since the Reagan administration for this season. Okay, maybe that's a little bit dramatic, but I get it. Like, hey, I would love to see the 82 season, the 82 football season, and for APA football, but I'm not gonna, get all worked up about it. It's like, okay, well, they don't have it yet. And like Dynasty League Baseball, they just put out 1983. I'd like there to be more classic seasons. But, if you think about it, if somebody can get that passionate, if people can get that passionate because they're disappointed or they're frustrated that they don't have certain products, that actually is good for the company if you think about it, because it means if somebody cares about your product, if somebody cares that much to get that angry, to lash out, I guess you could say, then that's really love. I mean, it's like, think about it here. If somebody loves you, like your family member or your friend, and they would not go to the lengths in whatever way that they do to lash back at you or say something if they didn't care or if they didn't love you. So when someone gets really passionate about something and they express something, even if maybe it can come off as a little harsh, they're coming from a place of love. And even though it may not come out the right way, and we've all done that, including myself, you know, and we should listen to everybody and let them have their piece, you know, all points of view. And this is not just true with sports, but with politics too. And I think that we really need to get back to agreeing to disagree, something that we really have lost in this country, sadly. But that's another topic. We won't even get into. This is not a political channel here, and I'm not going to go there. But with regard to cards and dice, we hear a lot in this country about pride today, you know, about being proud, and I'm proud to be an American, and that's all wonderful and good. But I think that something that we need to focus more on is gratitude. Gratitude, being grateful. I'm grateful to be an American. I'm grateful to be able to afford to have these seasons and to be able to buy these games and be able to enjoy them. And, you know, like I said, there are people in this country right now that are really struggling. You know, I'm not trying to break out a violin or anything, but there are people that are really struggling economically to pay their medical bills, to buy food for their family and themselves, just paying their dues here. They're working paycheck to paycheck. A lot more people now are relying on credit cards, which is not good for their bills and groceries and getting gas. And they would probably look at us and say, hey, I'd love to be able to spend $100 on a past baseball season or football season. Meanwhile, I'm trying to get the rent paid and, you know, trying to hopefully keep my electricity going on. You know, so I'm grateful that I'm able to play these games, not just cards and dice, but primarily cards and dice, but yes, even computer games. And I definitely want to check out Action PC. For real, I definitely want to check that out and to be able to play more games and learn more about them. I want to get this dang APA season, you know, moving along here, and to be able to go through the course of a season and be able to talk more about it and to do more videos, you know. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be a part of the community. I'm grateful to be able to talk to you tonight, and something that I never would have thought possible 3 years ago. If somebody would have told me and they say, you know, Jeff, you're going to be going back to playing cards and dice, I'd say, get out of here. Get out of here. Me? Nah. And yet, here I am. Never say never. That's one thing I have learned, is never say, or that'll never happen. I've said that many times. That'll never happen. Drive-in movie theaters? Pfft, that'll never happen. And yet, drive-in movie theaters, you know, things like that happen. And certain things like, oh yeah, they're going to have a rule in Major League Baseball where they're going to have the All-Star game decided by a home run, a home run derby. Pfft, that'll never happen. There it is. So I just wanted to come on here and just say that I am grateful to be part of this community and to be able to go back into the past and relive these seasons for whatever it is, and even a modern season if I wanted to play that, and just to be able to forget about life for a while and just have some fun, because that's really what it comes down to, is just having fun. And I hope that whatever you do, whoever you are, wherever you are, that you have fun and that you do what makes you happy, because that's all I really want. I'm a simple man, and I just want everyone here. I just want you all to be happy. So I hope that this video has made you happy, And please leave some comments and have a wonderful weekend, everyone.